1 mile. Temperatures and pressures. Go on, you say it.
What, T's and P's are in the green?
T's and
P's
P's
I
are
can see them. I
yeah.
can see them.
Well, hello YouTube. We're back in the air in India Zulu, and I have
337, no, I don't observe, scorecarded.
I have a passenger on board. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, I'm Nick. I work with John quite a lot.
We started working together about, well, in the late 90s, I think. Nick is a television cameraman, and he's freelance, which means he works for all of the channels, anyone that'll have him, really. But you're very good.
Anyone with money.
Anyone with money. Nick is very, very, very good cameraman. So Nick is a, I was going to say fan of my YouTube channel. Well, you watch it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, this is my chance to be in a YouTube sensation. I mean, Zoella and PewDiePie, I tried to get on their things, they turned me down, but...
Only Zulu traffic to change, you can call C78 inbound at 2,300 feet.
Looking Golf India Zulu, and we're now at Seven Oaks. 2,200 feet, would like to change to Farnborough radar 123.225.
Only Zulu, Squawk 7,000, free for Farnborough.
Squawk 7,000 and Farnborough, Golf India Zulu. We're looking out for something that's inbound. I didn't quite hear where it was. It's about 150 feet above us. Oh, there he is, look, straight ahead.
Ah, yes.
Good. It works.
We've avoided him then.
Right, 176. We were planning to go to Duxford today, but then we couldn't start the plane, which is becoming a bit of a theme with me. We think the aircraft may need its plugs cleaning. But anyway, helpful Ron from our group came up and got us going, didn't he, basically?
He was very helpful.
Yeah. So we're not going to Duxford. That was a shame. The reason we could have, you know, there's plenty of time for us to get there, but the weather this afternoon is suggesting thunderstorms and hail and very gusty winds. It already is very windy. In fact, perhaps you might want to see my first attempt at takeoff, which was a bit embarrassing. Have a look at this. Full power. So I've got right crosswind correction in, that's why the ailerons are pointing to the right. And I'm going to need...
Try and get my leg down.
So we've got airspeed alive. Right, we're going to go now. Shit. Golf India Zulu stopping. So that was about 10 minutes ago. My first attempt at takeoff, the winds were quite strong and I think I lifted off too early.
I'm ashamed by that attempted takeoff, so much so that I've agonised over whether or not to share it with you. I've looked over the footage time and time again to try and see what went wrong. Ahead of us, a helicopter had been cleared to take off from the midpoint of the same runway.
Foxtrot Delta Hotel, from there you can lift air taxi across the grass to line up next point, runway 21, just call.
I was concerned that its rotor downwash might cause a problem for me.
The thing is, they put these helicopters ahead of us and they can cause wake turbulence.
I wanted to be sure I rotated my aircraft before the point on the runway it had lifted from, to be absolutely sure I wasn't affected by this.
He lifted pretty much at the end of the runway. Right, we're going to go now.
I pulled back on the yoke at my normal takeoff speed, but it didn't want to go.
Shit. Golf India Zulu stopping.
Given the winds, I guess I should have delayed it to accelerate another 5 or 10 knots first.
60 knots.
This is what I did on the second go.
65 knots, I'm giving it a bit longer. And it's going to want to go now. There we go. And we're airborne. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
This time, it worked out nicely.
How would you rate the bumpiness out of 10
Today,
in your experience?
Not too bad up here.
Yeah.
You can sometimes you get some really fierce bangs.
Yes.
And you're lifted in your seat and...
Oh no, we've not had that.
We've not had that, it's just a bit wobbly, isn't it? So instead of doing Duxford, we're just going down to the coast before this weather comes in from the west. The Sussex coast, round to Bexhill and Hastings. We can go round Beachy Head if you wanted to.
Yeah, that
would you like
nice.
to do that?
Yes, yes.
It's also this is an area I'm very familiar with, so I know my way around. And there's very little controlled airspace around here, so I can dodge showers it's much easier to dodge showers. That's why we've come this way. Right, I think we ought to do this week's tip of the week. Right, Nick thought a good tip of the week would be what you do in takeoff, basically, when something goes wrong. And there's a mantra that pilots are supposed to sort of read to themselves before they take off, and it goes something like this. Runway length, not limiting. In other words, I've checked how much runway I've got, and I've got enough runway to take off, given the pressure, density, altitude. Then it's crosswind, not limiting. So the crosswind is within the limits of the plane and the limits of my limits. Today we're on the verge of it being limiting.
Right.
So, and then it's, in the event of a problem whilst the aircraft is still on the ground, having rolled, I will bring the aircraft to a stop, inform ATC that I'm stopping, and work out what the problem was and take it from there. If I have encountered a problem whilst I have just lifted off, if there is enough runway remaining, I will land back on the runway, inform ATC, work the problem. If I've already taken off and there isn't enough runway remaining, I will select a field 30 degrees to the right or to the left, select the glide in the aircraft, bring the aircraft to an emergency landing, and inform ATC if I have time. So that's the mantra you go through. I don't find that particularly a useful mantra, if I'm honest with you, because it's all common sense and it's stuff you would do, I think, anyway, but it certainly doesn't hurt once in a while to think about it. And as you saw there, what I did was I drifted off the centre line. I was concerned about what control I had over the plane. I stopped it and informed ATC.
Golf India Zulu stopping.
So yeah, that's our tip of the week. I mean, another thing to do on takeoff, especially on an unfamiliar runway, obviously I know that runway inside out. I know how much runway I've got left. One of the important things to think about when you're going to an unfamiliar runway and taking off at an unfamiliar runway is to know where your abort point is. Because sometimes the aircraft won't power up as much as you want it to, and you might not be developing enough power, enough speed to take off. And there are various methods for doing it. Now, one of the calculations that I've seen is you must achieve 2/3 of your airspeed by halfway down the runway length. That's a good rule of thumb. There are others that people use, and if you haven't by that point, then you abort.
2/3 of the
airspeed
necessary to rotate.
take off. Yeah. So we've got Bexhill here, I think. We've got Eastbourne there, and Beachy Head over there.
Oh yes, I can
So we'll
see
go-
the marina.
We'll just go over Beachy Head and come round. Might as well just head over there now. Oh no, I've got Hurstman Zoo. There's Hurstman Zoo just there,
The observatory.
and they've got a. Can you see the?
Oh yes, I see the domes.
They've got. I'm avoiding that because they've got a laser beam that goes up into the sky, which can affect aircraft. And that's shown on the map there, the little red circle.
Straight up.
Yeah, to an unlimited height. So that could affect. They must do weather observations and weather science there, I'd imagine, or space science.
So just before I came out, I googled this aircraft.
What did you find out?
I see that it's a Piper Cherokee.
Yep.
Warrior 2, built in 1980.
Yeah, it's quite a new one for these aircraft.
Ah. So in the ensuing years, how many new engines, how many new wings, how many new fuselages?
Good question. The engine, I think, and people will crucify me if I get this wrong, the engine has to be replaced. It has a limit on how many hours it can do, and I think it's something like 1,500 hours.
It's a Lycoming.
That's right. Very standard engine that's fitted in many aircraft. Is it 380 or 320? 320.
320.
And it's I think it's 160 brake horsepower. I think that's right.
I
think that's
it
right.
doesn't say. I can see that it was once registered in Germany.
Was it? Yeah, so every 1500 hours they'll change the engine, but every 50 hours under the past maintenance regime, it would have a check. So every 50 hours of flight, it goes and has some maintenance on it.
I'll bet you it's 49.5 hours until after its last check.
No, it's got about 14 hours left before its next check.
Ah.
We keep a log in the back, and that's one of the things you do before you take off.
It's the Belle Tout Lighthouse.
Who lives in that now?
It used to be a couple who rented it out for bed and breakfast, and
Were you filming it when they moved it?
yeah, I was in a jet Ranger overhead.
Were you?
Shortly before they moved it.
Well, tell our viewers the story, because they won't know about the lighthouse, will they, and what happened to it?
No, there's a little lighthouse, I don't know how clearly we can see it from here. A few years ago was moved back from the cliff top because it's eroding. Quite some years ago now, I think, but it was a big television outside broadcast at the time, and the final movement, they were aiming to cover it live, but it was delayed, and they didn't quite get the final movement on live telly, but it was a massive job. They picked up this fairly chunky lighthouse and rolled it backwards.
Yeah, they literally jacked it up, didn't they?
Yes, yes.
I don't know how much time that bought them, because the cliff is obviously going to erode further, isn't it?
It was... One would have thought once they jacked it up and moved it, they'd have moved it sufficiently to give it a while. But yes, it's still looking fairly close to the...
Close to the edge.
Map.
Right, I'm going to turn around and...
Oh, look at Eastbourne, lovely.
It's a nice place, isn't it, Eastbourne? I know it gets a lot of stick.
It is, to be fair, the seafront is lined with the coaches that have brought elderly people on their holidays.
Yeah. But it's just such a decent town, isn't it?
It's
And looked after.
It's looked after, that's the words I was looking for.
Normally I would give passengers a chance to fly, but it's so bumpy today.
Yeah,
I think it's if it's all right with you, I'd rather not.
No, fair enough.
While we've got a moment, we ought to give a nod to one of our journalist colleagues who's doing YouTube videos as well, but he's put everything into it. David Johns.
I've seen them. I have seen them.
David,
the narrowboat.
David was, I don't know the arrangement, but I mean he was an ITV reporter, and as far as I can tell, he's stopped working at the moment and has bought a narrowboat and is merrily sailing the canals, navigating the canals of Great Britain, and he's got a great YouTube channel doing that.
Yes, prolific I think is the word. I've never actually met David, but churns out a lot of vids, very high quality.
They're very good. Perhaps we'll show a clip of one of his videos.
Cue the clip.
A tunnel, the Shrewley Tunnel, looms ahead, but no fears for this one as it's short. You can see the other end from here. Why, oh why, do the Canal and River Trust write their tunnel signs in such tiny writing though? You have to have binoculars to read them, or more up. No such hanging about for me though, I'm just gunning the engine and going for it. Join me, won't you? But wear a hat or carry a brolly, it's extremely soggy in this one. I told you it was soggy, look at the soaking my solar panels have had. And note to self, put the map book away when going through tunnels. Me, I wore the wide-brimmed hat, so I'm alright, Jack.
They're very different from mine. They're very sedate, and it's just so relaxing to watch, isn't it?
Lots of musical sequences.
Yeah.
And he has a catchphrase as well.
What's that?
Welcome to the vlog.
Yeah. We're at 5 miles, so we begin our descent to circuit height, which is 1,000 feet. We'll put the landing light on and the fuel pump on. Fuel is on. Radios are tuned and identified. Engine temperatures and pressures are in the green. Direction indicator is aligned. altimeter on QFE 995, which checks. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of aileron control in the landing, so just watch your knees.
Yes.
This is going to be a handful.
Jet 56 Lima, traffic is a Cherokee.
You wanted to see me test it, Nick?
I did. I did.
21. Right turn, 1 mile, report back overhead Biggin Hill, clear for takeoff, 21, surface wind, 2708, gusting 19 knots.
2708,
Takeoff runway 21, traffic.
gusting 19.
Golf India Zulu, turn base, keep it tight, there will be one further departing.
Turn base and keeping it tight, Golf India Zulu.
Golf India Zulu, clear to land, 21, surface wind, 25012 knots.
Golf India Zulu, clear for land. God, this is hell. This is my idea of hell, Nick.
Exclusive Jet 56 Lima, maintain 3,000 feet inbound to Detling and contact Thames radar.
Bringing in a bit of extra speed here, which I don't like. Hopefully it'll...
32.7, exclusive Jet 56 Lima, thank you.
Very, very turbulent, isn't it?
Yes.
So now we've lost our lift there. Just at the last minute, I had to put power in to keep us. So it's going to be right. Well, we got down.
Well done.
Wasn't pretty.
Copy Zulu, left 3 Alpha 3, taxi to parking.
Left Alpha 3, taxi to self-fuel, please.
Confirm self-refueling's approved.
Approved, Golf, India Zulu.
November Yankee.
Landing 11:05. Well, I'm glad we're down, I tell you that.
November Yankee, roger.
So, Nick, was it all right?
That was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Sorry it wasn't what we planned, but
1,800 rejoin.
thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you subscribe, like, and join in with the conversation. And I'll be back with another video very soon. It was lovely having you along. Lovely having you along, Nick.
It was an honour and a privilege.
Right, I'm going to shut this down. Bye, everyone.